Perfect. So first of all, I just kind of wanted to talk about obviously you're playing at Yes. How are you feeling about that? That must be such a big moment.
It's actually a super big moment with the lineup as well. Jasmine 40, Adult DVD. Like, it's a pretty awesome lineup to be part of. And I'm just feeling really grateful, really excited. Me and my DJ slash teammate who performed together, we're like both like pretty amped to like do that. I'm gonna do loads of new music that's never been heard before, which is risky, but I'm a risky gal, so should be good.
No, you have to be
You have to
though.
be.
I feel like that's one of the most important things. Also, I find in the industry that to stop things from getting so stale, you need fresh people to come in and to be doing different things and bringing in different aspects. What do you think is so unique about your sound? What do you feel that you are bringing to the industry?
Um, wow. I
That's
think
like such a loaded question, but
it's a very loaded question. I think I'm a gimmickless individual, so I don't really have a gimmick. I don't have like a thing that's like, I think my thing is like authenticity. When you're thinking about, like Skunk and Nancy, that kind of very uniquely themselves. And I think that's my vibe. You might hear me on a rock tune, then hear me on a drum and bass tune, then hear me on a really smooth Afro beat. Like, I don't believe in lanes. So I think my gimmick is being laneless and being good at it. So
Yeah, and we know that you like try to include, I guess, a lot of different topics in your music, especially like the political side of it, which we think is a great and definitely needed more in music. Why do you think that's so important for the music industry to have those people who do include these topics in their music?
I think it's important because when I started like trying to be a recording artist like 5 years ago, I was working with this record label in Boston and he loved my music. I was actually playing guitar a lot and rapping back then. And he was like, the only rule I have is no politics. And it's like that in the workplace. It's like that on radio stations. It's like people are like, don't talk about politics. We do not want to upset pet people. But with my music and with what I do, I'm trying to make you feel something, even if it's irritated, even if it's annoying, even
yeah.
if it's like talking about something you didn't want to hear. Like, that's how you're gonna remember. You're like, remember that bitch that was talking about fuck Trump and that. She pissed me off in the morning, but you still remember me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
my thing or gimmick is being very unapologetically in your face, like about whatever. And if you don't like it, I really don't care.
I think because I feel like people always look at music and forget that originally in all the different subcultures and everything, it came from a political place. It came from a place to speak up and to use our voices to say something about what's going on. And I think that's something that the industry needs, and it's something that we're severely lacking in. And you can see that, and especially with the venues that support these artists who are speaking up and using their platforms and also just using their freedom to express themselves. So I kind of wanted to ask you about more of the grassroots venues that we have in Manchester. Unfortunately, the state of it right now is that a lot of them are closing. What do you have to say about how the industry is supporting them?
I feel really angry. I think like that kind of rage it could turn into creative rage, but I'm pretty annoyed. Like places like the Old Abbey Tap House is shutting down.
Yeah.
The Old Abbey Tap House was one of the first places I've been performing there for years, putting on events there for years. It's been a safe space for punks, queers, black people, dogs, Irish, you name it. If you are on the fringe, you've been in a tap house at least one point connecting with
Yeah,
people.
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And I felt like because I've been in the city for about 10 years now, and it's been here for about 10 years, I knew the directors. One of the directors is now working at Stretford Public Hall, booking events, when really he was the guy who like arranged the Manchester Festival, like the festival, or is it Carnival, Manchester Carnival. He's one of the main organizers of that. He was the director of the Old Abbey Tap House, and they've kind of pushed him out in a way that's been really unfair. And it was a lot very funding based. Like it was based on a lot of funding, and those cuts are becoming so evident. So I think what I feel is a lot of anger. Some of the oldest pubs in the city are shutting down.
Yeah.
What is it? 10 years ago, 20 years, I think it's been a systemic thing as well. Like 15 years ago, Oh, I hope it's not 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Let's just say 10 years ago. No, I'm not out. Let's say about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago, you would find a lot of pubs that were owned by people. Now you're very unlikely to find a pub in the UK that's owned by people. So when you see people like Nigel Farage going, oh, I like to have a cigarette and a fucking pint because I'm this and that.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. Because if he really cared about the pubs, he would have kept them in the hands of the people. What happened was they got bought out by breweries. They got priced out of their breweries. So people used to live in pubs, have their families in pubs. It used to be a family business. You barely find that anymore. So you find it them priced out by breweries. So they get bought out by the brewery. Then the brewery rents it back to them at an extortionate price. So they can't even afford to like run the business and make a profit in any way. So then they end up leaving the pub, which is what they wanted them to do. And then they take the pub and then they commercialize it and make it this systemic thing instead of it being a community thing. So it's kind of like I'm watching communities being being killed by the infrastructure being taken away from them. And this is infrastructure that's like 50 years old, like 60 years old. Pubs have been around for so long. Places like Salvation Army and loads of charities were conceived as people meeting up in pubs, having a pint and talking about what's going on in their community. Stuff like that you don't see anymore. And it's like really annoying, actually. That's how I feel. I know it's pretty like a basic answer. I'm really annoyed about it. I'm actually just really annoyed.
Yeah, I mean, we're just as annoyed as you are.
I mean, that's what we rely on as well for ourselves to like as a radio station. We're only a student radio station. We're not commercial. You know, we're not trying to make this a business. It's here for students to express themselves in a very like accessible way. And when you have all of these venues across just closing and not getting the support they need and a lack of community, I think is a really key aspect of that. And I think something from when I had a few listens to a couple of your songs, and I think what is really evident is the sort of sense of community that you're trying to push through, whether it's collaborating with different artists like you did with Raise or collectives like Raise the Bar you did, for instance, and trying to sort of communicate with the community issues that we're facing. Notably, you released End the Occupation. I think that's a really important kind of like way to do so. What is your opinion on more artists using their voices to do so?
Yeah, I find it a complicated subject to talk about. Well, I'm not going to talk about it. Not like complicated, like, oh, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's really complicated because obviously I told you about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Someone said to me, don't be political. Like, I'm like, well, what am I going to talk about then? I'm not going to talk about everything is political. Breath we breathe, especially as a Black woman in the UK, my whole life is political, even if it's the basic things of like trying to apply for something or a lot has changed now, and I'm grateful for the changes, and I'm not trying to create this victim mentality because I don't feel like a victim of anything, but I feel like a warrior, someone who's had to fight for everything. And basically the way that I feel about it all is just kind of this weird place, because I believe that art was created for the voiceless to have a voice. Most of the best artists were people who did from Lauryn Hill to Roberta Flack to some of the people that I've listened to all my life that raised me as artists. They were people that needed to find a voice, and they would talk about their wider communities, the diaspora, the people, where they came from, where their parents came from, the struggle. Some of the best artists even today are still talking about that history. And for me personally, if I couldn't talk about it, I wouldn't make music. I'd go and be in a field somewhere and work with the land. That's just basically what it is for me. And so I said it in an interview I did before, like, my music isn't really for other people, which sounds selfish. It's for me to have a form of expression. It's a way of mental self-care, like my way of journaling, my way of expressing what I'm feeling. Once you release it as well, it's like, said what I need to say. People can either hear it, resonate with it, or tell me to fuck off. I don't care. Am I allowed to swear in this? I'm so sorry.
That's fine. You're fine.
Bleep me out. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
One of the things I'm most nervous about is on Wednesday they've asked me to do a clean performance. So it's like half the songs are just not getting done. Yeah, I just get really emotional about the censorship of people's experiences, because politics is just like, oh, I think you should vote for this, or I think you should vote for that. It's like, this is my experience. My life has been a political journey and it's shaped me. So I think for me, that's what it's about. I feel like if you're not making music to say something, that's great. You don't always have to say something. God knows I've got some songs where I'm just like pretty much bubble butt, bubble butt, that kind of song. But like, you've got to have fun too. But if you're not saying anything, then there's a level of fakeness that's occurring. Because I know everybody's having a political experience, even if it's like, not to be negative, but even the wild right wingers, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You find out that they're right wing until they say something. You're like, you just said that like 2 hours ago. You could have saved me a lot of time and money listening to your words. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think for me, music is political, and it always has been, and it always will be. And I think when you find music that isn't like saying anything, or is kind of like trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, there's a space for that too, because you go through that period of like, oh, I like this, but I realize they're not saying anything, and it always is part of the journey. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not here to judge other people's music. God knows I would never do that, but for me, it's always been political.
Yeah, and it's so important that artists like you are given that platform in order to do so, because a lot of, you know, other artists aren't really given that platform and are kind of censored a lot. And you're obviously playing at the iconic Yes Bar, which I mean, we've had some great nights out there. So
I played there before, actually. I supported this duo from Philadelphia called Epic Beardmen. They're
great.
I know.
Great.
They're these two burly guys from Philly, big brothers, big guys, and they've got these massive beards, obviously. And they're amazing rappers. They're like so lovely as well. They gave me a t-shirt, and the t-shirt said it had a picture of like a soldier, a milkshake out of like a milkshake soldier.
Oh.
And the milkshake on it said and the title on it said "Make Racists Wear Milkshake Again." Obviously a reference to Farage getting milkshake. Yeah. And they're from all the way from Philadelphia. They've got no skin in British politics, do you know what I mean? But they were aware of the political climate, and they came with like merchandise that kind of reflected our climate. And they had a lot of fans. And people came out to see them. I was like, I've never heard of you guys before. I feel terrible. And they're on my playlist now. I listen to them. Those guys can rap, and they say really funny but conscious stuff. They use comedy and politics in their music, and it was just absolutely beautiful and so inspiring. So yes, I'm ready for Yes.
That sounds incredible. So in terms of like, obviously, like there's so many other like artists in the local scene, I wanted to see if you could just name your favorite at the moment, to just give a little spotlight to someone who you think is also doing what you feel is right in the music industry right now in Manchester.
Really? Okay. One. Oh, just one.
There's no limits.
I'm gonna plug a band that I did a song with. They're called Third Culture.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. My DJ is the main singer.
No way.
Yeah, her name is Shimba. She's the main singer in Third Culture. The guitarist Lawal, who's like this topless, dreaded black god. He is a DJ as well. He does like all the riot parties and stuff like that. And Nemeka is an amazing lyricist, like so good. I was at one of their shows at Stage and Radio yesterday, or day before yesterday, and I jumped on their set. They are growing really fast, and they're playing at Boomtown, and I'm going to be playing at Boomtown with them. They're just everything. They're like an all black rock band with hip hop infusions. They're like everything I love about music, where they just blur all the rules, blur all the lines. There's no rules, there's no lines, there's no borders. Like, let's go. So I think I definitely shout out Third Culture, not because I'm friends with them, but because they absolutely rock. And you should definitely check them out. And then another artist that I feel is doing bits in the UK. They're already really well known already, but I love Chunky. I
saw Chunky at We Out Here over summer.
Yeah, I was there. I was there with the crew as well. I was gonna wear his t-shirt today. I was like, no, it's about me today, not about him. But I'm a huge Chunky fan. Like, I love what he does. I've loved his development as an artist.
Yeah,
I think he's great. I just think he's amazing, and he holds space. He holds space in a way that other artists who have his kind of following would never hold space. Do you know what I mean? So I love Chunky and what he's doing for the city, in the city. He's amazing. And I think my third one is not as well known, but she is a powerhouse in waiting, and her name is Karis Jade. And Karis is one of the most amazing, like, she's a queer woman, Manchester born and bred. She goes through her own stuff with her, with disabilities and stuff like that, but she's always like creating such beautiful music, and her voice can just send you into one of those places that's just like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean.
Exactly. It's not, there's no words for it, there's just the face of like,
yeah,
it's just the feeling, and you just can't even evoke that. Like, I think that's so nice.
Yeah, so for me, those three, it would be Karis Jade, Third Culture, and Chunky.
Yeah,
awesome.
They're all very different types of music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but nonetheless, like, that's what it is, though. It's not about one specific genre. It's about how you can take all aspects of yourself and put it into your music. And I think that's just really, powerful, because it is so like hard seeing like things that get popular that actually don't have like soul to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I think things like that happen because you need, like, someone who works a normal job as well, you need something that don't make you think as well.
Yeah.
There's people that just want to feel, but they don't want to think, which is really difficult to do as well, to make music that doesn't make people think but still makes them feel. It's tough. So I still commend my artists that are just making feel not think music, is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Because one thing about music is it's all subjective. So even though it might not have soul to us, it will have soul to like a 12-year-old who's going to school and just had a bad day and they just want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everything's got its place, and I try my best not to judge art, like, because everything's so subjective. But I know what you mean, trust me.
And if there's like one artist that's performing at the BBC Six Festival that you're most excited to see, who would that be?
I think Jasmine 40.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I'm excited to see her. I've gone through her stuff and I love the way she plays guitar. I'm someone who plays guitar too, but it's more of a personal thing. It's not a performing thing anymore. I used to be a bus guy, busked for years in Gay Village, all across the city centre. I was like busking, and all you get was play Wonderwall. I didn't learn Wonderwall just because of that. But I'm really excited to see them play, and I'm really excited to see Adult DVD too. Like, really big names. I'm really honored to be on the lineup with them. Really excited to have that space with them. And yeah, I think those two, the two other acts that I'm sharing the lineup with, I'm very excited to see, and I'm gonna be there in the crowd like a little girl.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Very perfect answer.
Yeah, so in terms of obviously getting back into your music a bit, in terms of your influences, what would you say have been really key artists or even genres, whatever, that you have grown up listening to, that you think do they feed into your music now, or are you sort of decentering away from that?
It's a really weird question.
Yeah, I know that.
My inspirations, like my British inspirations, are not normally like hip hop artists. Like, I'm inspired by Miss Dynamite, Gets, Miss Dynamite, Gets, you know, the normal ones. Akala is a big influence of mine. Like, even just his books as well. Like, I've read all his books as well. So those are some big, low-key, like, yeah, like I've seen Loki live at Blues Kitchen. It was crazy. You can go to American acts like Lauryn Hill, Bilal. I was really into my neo soul, so I listened to like weird neo soul artists like Music Soul Child, Lauryn Hill, Bilal, Jay Dilla, Common, like a lot of Conscious Talib Kweli. I listened to a lot of that side of music, but I did have my space for Wu-Tang, you know, because I wanted feel not think music. That was my Wu-Tang Clan. And then for like, I loved Paolo Nutini. Like, Paolo Nutini had a really, I know it's like, what? That's got nothing to do with your sound. But Paolo Nutini was a big inspiration of mine. And believe it or not, like people like James Morrison, who played like pop music, like the song with Nelly Furtado, Broken Strings. I remember learning that on my guitar, like broke a couple strings. Like, I really enjoy. It's really hard to think off the top of my head because there's so many. I really enjoyed like
So
people like Emily Sandé, who's
Yeah.
completely different sound as well. My recent inspirations are people who are new to the industry, but I really love, like I love Eni. Eni is like a female rapper, and her name is Eni, which is a Nigerian Yoruba name, which my sister's name is Eni. And I never thought I'd see an artist with my sister's name holding it like that. It's spelled a bit differently, but I know she's in either Eniola, Eniton, or Eni Okpe, or something like that. She's got a Yoruba name, and the way she's holding it and making it her identity, her brand, is so inspirational. So I love Eni. I love Doechii. She's killing it right now. Kendrick Lamar has always had a space for me because there's a song he wrote called I Myself. That song came at a really important time in my life, and I'm sure it saved a lot of people's lives. But I think if there was a song, like a playlist of songs that saved my life, that'd be one of those songs, and that'd be one of those artists. So yeah.
It's a stacked list. That
I'm sorry, I just kept doing it. I was like, oh,
No,
but I think it's like speaks to the range there is, and also there's not one sort of like limit to if you're producing a certain sort of sound, doesn't mean
Bob Dylan.
Bob
Dylan. Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan, yeah.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Two people. Bob Dylan's good. House of the Rising Sun. I used to bust that. He was on my playlist, my busking playlist.
Yeah.
But Bob Dylan is a punk hip hop band, and it's got a rapper called Bob and a drummer called Bob. The rapper is normally seemed, and so together they make Bob Dylan. I've seen them live about 3 times. I saw them in this dingy pub in Blackpool for a tenner. Now their tickets are probably like 50 quid or 40 quid. But that was when they We Live Here. They dropped a song called We Live Here, which is about his journey as a mixed race man in the UK, being called racist names, but having a white mom, and that kind of cultural identity understanding kind of thing he went through. Like, I love Bob Dylan. Like, they can do no wrong. And I listened to their album before their big album. It's so good. Their music is so good. Like, oh. So yeah, I think one of my main modern inspirations would definitely be Bob Dylan.
With a name like that, like I feel like you have to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In terms of like, obviously, there's still a lot left to. You still have a lot left to give with your music. Where do you see yourself going in the next year with what you want to get up to?
So I'm dropping a new EP on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I'm dropping it on May the 4th. And I'm sorry. I know, I'm just a nerd at heart. I'm a big nerd, man.
People need to do that more. I don't hear it enough. I'm like, guys, do you know what day it is?
Come on. But I'm dropping a project. I've not dropped an EP, a collection of music, since 2020. I've dropped singles across the years. Yeah. I've not actually put together a catalogue of music. And the reason I've not done that is because I don't think I understood. As you can tell, I'm here, that I'm there. I'm in so many lanes. I didn't understand myself enough as an artist to put together something that I felt was authentic and genuine. I felt like if I was releasing a project at any time before this point now, I would be just doing it to do it. Yeah. What's the concept? What's the reason? Why? And the title of the project is called It's Just Me.
It's just you. It's just
me. The album cover is inspired by a prostitute from back in the day called Goldie Williams. You might have seen a picture of her. She wore this bonnet and she had a face like this. She was like, kept being arrested for being a vagabond or for vagrancy. The one thing she could control was how she put her face. They would kept trying to tell her, like, stop screwing up your face in the picture. But she was like, make me. You can't make me stop. You can take away my freedom. You can lock me up, but you can't change how I express myself. And that was a big inspiration for me, like, to take that, like, that picture alone speaks 1,000 words and tells a story beyond her being a sex worker or whatever. She represents a lot of people who constantly being restricted, constantly being controlled. So the little things we can control, we fight for to the death. So I think that's what the project's concept is. It's just me, and I'm really kind of going out there and just showing myself. So that's what I've got coming up on May the 4th. I'm dropping a project, and then my friend's band Third Culture are playing at Boomtown. I'm gonna make a guest appearance on their set. And yeah, my main focus is this project and pumping it out and like putting out some new music. So that's me.
Amazing. And you mentioned, I mean, like moving to Manchester, I guess, does that really have, or did that really have a big impact on the type of music that you made? And did you feel like the city, because it has a very rich music history and culture, do you feel like it changed any approach that you had to music? And also on top of that question, do you feel like there is a song that you would associate with Manchester maybe?
That last one's a bit of a difficult one. Okay, so I think in terms of the question about it's completely reshaped myself as an artist. I came here as a rapper, went through a journey as a busker, and the reason why I became a busker is because when I came here in 2015 or 16 or something like that, I was visiting someone and I walked through Market Street and there was probably about 10 buskers from the beginning of Market Street to the end, and every sound was different and everyone was brilliant and everyone made me stop and be like, probably got to the end of Market Street and was £10 short. Do you know what I mean? Because the way that people were being so vulnerable out there and trying to connect with anyone that would stop just to have that impact with your sound, with your vibration, I was like, that's where the magic is. That's what I need to be doing to really understand myself. So even though I came here to rap and I was jumping on cyphers, very quickly, within 6 months, I'd become a busker. I did not rap. I was constantly singing with my guitar on Market Street, outside the Thirsty Scholar, on the Gay Village, outside the chicken shop before they removed my seat. The council beefed me for my decibel limits. Are like, very nice singing, but the decibels are a bit too high. I'm like, I'm not turning it down. They're like, well, you gotta turn it down or we'll give you a fine. So yeah, I think Manchester's really shaped me in terms of making sure that I'm authentic, that I'm truthful, that I'm honest, that I'm myself, and that if I want to make music, it has to be as me. It has to be as Renee. It has to be as Lola, who became Renee. It has to be authentic. It has to be truthful. And I think that's something, I always felt that, but I think Manchester really punched that home. And some of the best artists from Manchester, whether it's Happy Mondays or whoever it is, they're all very authentic, but you can see the journey they've taken just in the way they dress themselves and the way they approach their gigs and the songs that they write. I think for me, Manchester shaped my authenticity. Like, be yourself. If you're not being yourself, get out of the kitchen kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's that. And then in terms of a song,
it's a tough one. It's a
put
tough
you on the spot a bit, but
there's different eras. Do you know what I mean? I think when we hit 2020, it's a different song. But from 2015, 16 to 2021, it was IMDb Leaned Out.
Okay.
That was the song that defined Manchester for me, because everybody was leaning one way or the other. That's just how it was for me. And then I think this is a really cheesy song, but there's a song, and it's not even by a Manchester artist, it's an American artist.
Yeah.
But it's a song about beautiful things. And it's like this song where he goes, please don't take these beautiful things that I've got.
Is that
Benson Boone?
Yeah. That tune, for me, that's how I feel about the city. There's like, I pray that, I know that it's never going to stay the same. I know it looked completely different from 10 years ago with gentrification, but there's a soul to the city that has a feeling of love. And even though it's grey and cloudy, there's still something romantic about Manchester for me. Maybe I just romanticize it to deal with the clouds. I don't know.
We done the same.
Yeah, so I think for me, that song, even though it's not by someone in Manchester, it's how I feel about the city. Like, I don't want it to be taken away from me, and I want it to last forever. And there's been a level of growth of like having nothing being poor, being homeless in the city and just busking, to managing to get myself together, working in the community, supporting my community through garden centres, through drugs and alcohol recovery, through whatever it is. I've got my hands in loads of different pots, and I've just fallen in love with the city, and I think that song defines it for me.
Yeah, I think Manchester is just a city that everyone falls in love with, everyone I know who's here, and I think that's just a really lovely thing about it. And it'll be so exciting for you to be playing, obviously, on Wednesday. And yeah, I just want to round it off with one final question, as we've spoken a lot, obviously, about the culture and the scene here in Manchester and the importance of supporting local venues. So I wanted to see if you could just recommend to anyone who's going to watch this just a few of your favorite places in Manchester that you think are really doing it for the music scene.
Oh my God. Well, the Tap House was one.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. I love Band on the Wall.
Mm.
Band on the Wall holds space in a really cool way, and I know that's a very obvious one. There is a cheeky little cafe, well, not cafe, restaurant called Pull Up Bar.
Yeah.
Pull Up Bar is on just opposite Band on the Wall, and it's run by a Black woman named Sharon. Sharon, bless her. Sharon's Sharon. But she is an amazing soul who holds poetry events. So like poetry is a big thing in the city. It came out, there's a renaissance of poetry in Manchester. So I would say Pull Up Bar, they have an event called Pull Up and Speak. I've not performed there in a really long time, but I would recommend that space because it's a Black owned business, and she doesn't just she holds space for everybody. Doesn't matter if you're Black, white, Asian, whatever. She wants you there to come and perform your poetry, and it's a free event. It's like the last Monday of every week. So that there's a Naya Moss, which is just, you won't really see it from my window. The Naya Moss is a community centre in Manchester. They have fought so much to hold on to that building. They're constantly trying to like get funding for it. They're putting on events. I've seen an orchestra do renditions of Lauryn Hill, of Nina Simone. I've had the opportunity to perform with those orchestras in that space. And every Wednesday they have a jam night. And what you find is the old timers, the young lot all come together. So you'd find a lot of the instrumentalists will be someone who's been here since he was 6 and he's like 50 years old and he's like shredding it. And then just come up and just sing songs, and it's an impromptu moment of like connection. So for me, I would say the Naimas, I would definitely say Band on the Wall. I'd say Pull Up Bar, Contact Theatre, which is obviously known about, but I think Contact Theatre does a lot for the community and for the young people. And then there's also a space called Reform Radio. Reform Radio I used to
we love Reform.
I used to work for Reform Radio. I only recently left in October. I worked there for almost 2 years, for like a year and a half. They are an amazing space that are literally seeking out young adults to support them in whatever they want to do, like upskilling them in courses, providing spaces for them. You can put on a radio show. If you really want to support them, just listen to the radio show. They're on DAB, which means digital. So if you've got digital radio, you can just put them on at any point.
Absolutely.
Watching places like the Tap House close and other places close, I have this irrational fear that I don't want these other places to be affected. So if you're someone that cares about your community, cares about the future generations, connecting to your local businesses, your local radio stations, your local garden centres, your local pubs, check who owns the pub. Whose pub is this? Oh, it's owned by a brewery. It's gonna go. Do you know what I mean? Just like, and very likely you'll meet people that you resonate with in those spaces that still exist. So I think, does that answer your question?
Absolutely. These are the spaces that define us. It's important that we have these spaces as communities, you know, because with the way everything is going right now, it's more important, more than ever, really, to preserve them and, like, you know, keep them safe with you know, everything that's happening. Thank you so much. This has been really lovely talking to you, and I hope you have an incredible show on Wednesday.
Well, thank you very much for interviewing me.